Linux, the Debian-based distribution, you can just do sudo apt-get install and vim and run it. I already have this installed, obviously, but anyway, so after you have done the installation, you should have the Vim tutor being available. So this, again, we have just launched the Vim text editor. So down below you can see the stamp tutor QNOJRJ. So that's just the random name to give this file a name. So this is not going to be saved on disk when we would be making some changes. It just lives entirely in the temporary file system. It prints the basic info, like how many lines, how many bytes is available under the file. And without further ado, let's actually go for it. So I will be reading through, and I would be commenting where I feel like it's necessarily needed to do so. So and again, just before we start, just to make sure that this tutor, it assumes that you have absolutely no prior experience in Vim, so that you just walk through the tutor, gaining some basic skills, and then after completing this, you would already be capable of editing files using Vim. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started. So Vim is a very powerful editor that has many commands, too many to explain in a tutor such as this, what I mentioned so far. This tutor is designed to describe enough of commands that you will be able to easily use Vim as an all-purpose editor. The approximate time required to complete this tutor is 30 minutes, depending upon how much time is spent with experimentation or with my commentary, so it might take a little bit longer. So yeah, make yourself some coffee, sit back and enjoy. Attention, the commands in the lessons will modify the text. Make a copy of this file to practice on. If you started Vim Tutor, this is already a copy, so that's something I've already mentioned as well. It's important to remember that this Vim Tutor is set up to teach by use. That means that you need to execute the commands to learn them properly. If you only read the text, you will forget the commands. And already a commentary here. So obviously, when you're just getting started with whatever new material, it's forcing you to memorize something, because if you don't know the very basis of what you're about to learn, it's impossible to create something more complicated from the basic building blocks. Like let's say you're learning how to dance, you need to use you need to learn the basic moves, and then out of those basic moves you can then compose the composition to like the entire dance of Linux. For instance, the Linux like Unix philosophy, Linux commands. So if you know the basics with like how to use the Linux commands, then you can easily go for shell scripting. If you're not sure how to use the single Linux command, one or another, it's really hard to do shell scripting in Linux, because you don't particularly know the very building blocks. Now, make sure that your caps lock key is not depressed, and press the J key enough times to move the cursor so that lesson 1.1 completely fills their screen. And already, again, like I don't know anything about Vim. That's the assumption of the Vim tutor. So I just started pressing J. And by the time I'm pressing J, you see the cursor is moving down. That's the very first command. So we are now in what is known as the normal mode. This will be covered later. And in the normal mode, we can use J to move the cursor down. So they ask me to make the lesson 1.1 to fully cover the screen, and we do. So to move the cursor, press H, J, K, L keys as indicated. Hint, HK is at the left and moves left. LK is at the right and moves right. And JK looks like a down arrow. So, and K moves up. So now if I do like K, J, L, and H, so that's the way how I can move through the text file, essentially navigating by moving the cursor. So move the cursor around the screen until you're comfortable, and yeah, sometimes it takes time to get comfortable. Well, by default, if you're using the default Vim RC, which is most likely to be the case if the VIM-RC file, which is the configuration file for VIM, is not being specified. You should also be capable of moving the cursor with the arrow keys. I'm doing this now. I'm now moving the cursor with the arrow keys. But it's really a good idea to get yourself used to moving the cursor with HJKL, and trust me, this would pay off later. So hold down J until it repeats. Okay, this is what we do. And using the down key, move to lesson 1.2. Note, if you're unsure about something you type, press escape to place you in normal mode. So yeah, this HJKL works in so-called normal mode. Normal mode is the mode you are entering when you just open Vim, whether it's you just type Vim, you enter and you start with an empty file, or you just say Vim and the file name. This will be covered later, or if you just do the Vim tutor. So when you just start Vim, it brings you to the normal mode. So that's a key thing to bear in mind. Okay, the cursor keys should also work, which I've already demonstrated, but using HJKL, you will be able to move around much faster once you get it, really. So yeah, let's move further on. Exit in Vim. So now before any of the steps below, read this entire lesson. Let's go for this. Press the escape key and make sure you are in the normal mode, and type colon Q and the exclamation mark, and then enter. This exits the editor, discarding any changes you've made. Get back here by executing the command that guides you into this tutor. That might be Vim tutor. If you have these steps memorized and are confident, execute steps 1 through 3 to exit and re-enter the editor. Then this Q exclamation mark enter discuss any changes you made. In a few lessons, you will learn how to save changes to a file. Move the cursor down to lesson 1.3. So I just say colon, and I say Q and the exclamation mark. So this gives me, so exclamation mark says that if any changes has been made, well, it's not relevant to this file, but in general, if you've made some changes to the file, you don't really want to save those changes. You need to explicitly specify the exclamation mark. For otherwise, if you don't do this, you will be prompted that the buffer has been changed and you need to deal with this somehow. Okay, so I exit Vim and I say Vim tutor again. Okay, Vim tutor, and I'm going to lesson 1.3 and we scroll through it. Text editing, and it starts with the deletion. Okay, so press X to delete character under the cursor. So the next command, apart from HJKL, would be the X command, deleting the current character under the cursor. So move the cursor to the line marked with this arrows. Yeah, fix the errors, move the cursor until it's on top of the character to be deleted. Press X to delete the unwanted character. Repeat steps 2 and 4 until the sentence is correct. So cow, we can delete this one. Jumped, delete this one. This one, this one, this one, and this one. So I've been pressing X key to delete a single letter in the word, and that was the correction. So the idea here is very interesting. So if you are thinking from the perspective of the GUI text editors you get used to, you will just place the cursor and then you press delete, and again, put the cursor pressed, not the delete or backspace maybe. But anyway, so you are already in the insert mode if you are doing the GUI editor. But in Vim, you don't essentially need to go into the insert mode when you want just to delete a character. So this usually makes editing much faster. So that's another idea. So the deletion itself, although deletion is also possible under the insert mode, like the GUI text editors do, but this X command is really useful when you just need to delete something, to correct something. You don't ever go into the insert mode. You just do things right out of the box. So now that the line is correct, go to lesson 1.4. And as you go through this tutor, do not try to memorize, learn by usage. Yeah, another interesting keynote that many people probably just miss this. But again, yeah, it's really it's a best way to do, like just following those instructions being presented here. So text editing insertion, press I to insert text. Move the cursor to the first line below marked as the start. Okay. Make sure, to make the first line the same as the second, move the cursor on top of the character before, before which the text is to be inserted. Yeah, so the press I and type the necessary additions. As each error is fixed, press escape to return to normal mode. Repeat steps to correct the sentence. So if I put the cursor, okay, so this is sum is not available here. So if I want to type sum before text, so I put the cursor on T, then press I, and I can do sum text escape, and then I missing escape, and I from this escape, and I line. Yeah, so already just doing these steps, I know for me personally, it really feels like I'm into Vim when I'm doing this. So this is really like the Vim way of inserting text. It just gives you the feeling. The main idea behind the Vim Tutor, it gives you the feeling of Vim, the flow of Vim. And obviously, if you do not improve and if you try to apply the mindset derived from the GUI text editors, you just feel like this is weird. But again, Vim Tutor is not about to change your mindset in regards to like which text editor to use. It's about just to involve you into the Vim flow, so that if you feel the Vim flow, you can then like it and try to dive deeper to feel it better, more extensively, and to dive deeper. Yeah, so it's about just to give you a feeling. It's like, say you want to learn how to drive a car, but you are like motorcycle guy, so you got used to 2 wheels, you're not used to 4 wheels. So the car driver instructor may tell you just sit in front of the steering wheel and try to drive. So just give you a feeling of how to drive. So driving the car is vastly different from driving a motorcycle. But if you get used to it, if you feel the flow, if you are agreed to try something different, in this case, you may like it. And if that's the case, then perfect. If not, Vim Tutor is not that big enough to waste your time. So you can just complete the Vim Tutor and say, well, okay, Vim is not for me. I'm sorry, I quit. That's it. But I just don't really want you to quit because you didn't understand the idea behind the Vim Tutor, what in particular it's trying to do. So that's important. Okay. Let's go further on. So when you're comfortable inserting text, move to lesson 1.5, text editing appending. So press big A, capital A, to append text. Move the cursor to the first line below marked as this. Okay, and it doesn't matter on what character the cursor is at the line. Press A and type the necessary additions. So if I just press the capital A, it brings me to the very end of the line, and this would start appending, would bring me to the insert mode, and I can start appending text to the line. So press A and type the necessary additions. As the text has been appended, press escape to return to the normal mode. Move the cursor to the second line marked as the arrows, and repeat the steps 2 and 3 to correct the sentence. So this line dot escape and go in here. Again, I can be wherever, so A, and again, missing here, and dot, escape, right? So when you're comfortable appending text, move to lesson 1.6, editing a file. So use right quit to save and exit the file. Now, before executing any of the steps below, read the entire lesson. So if you have access to another terminal, do the following thing. Do the following there. Otherwise, exit this tutor as you did in the lesson 1.2. So I don't have another terminal for this video. I'm just having this one. So I can just I can. Well, if I just it just asks me to exit the tutor like I did. Add the shell prompt. Type this command: vim file txt. Enter. Okay, vim is the command. To start the Vim editor, file.txt is the name of the file you wish to edit. Use the name of a file that you can change. Insert and delete text as you learned in the previous lessons. Save the file with the changes and exit Vim using the WQ. If you have quit Vim Tutor in step 1, restart the Vim Tutor and move down to the following summary. After reading the above steps and understanding them, do it. Okay, so it just tells me to exit from the Vim Tutor. So the changes I've made in this temporary file would be lost, but I don't really care. So I just can escape from Vim Tutor. Now I say Vim and test.txt file. So I'm in the new file. I can say insert. And for instance, I don't know, I can say package main, and I want to import fmt package. So I'm writing the hello world in Golang now. So I can do func main and escape h. No, I shouldn't be doing this. Just insert. Okay, k space. No, k space doesn't work. Let's say again insert, and I say fmt dot let's do like this, print line. So I made an error for a reason. So hello world, and okay. So here I made a mistake. So I can just do, for instance, x, and then I want to do the again I, and I say p, print from the capital. Let's say I say capital A, and I want to add the colon. Well, it's not required, but anyway, this can be done this way. And if I want to store this particular file, then again escape and colon and W to write the current file name and Q to exit. And if we now say again vim test.txt, we have our file being created, edited, and saved. So hopefully this makes sense. So now I do quit without making changes and going back to the Vim Tutor. Okay, now it needs to scroll more. Well, obviously you have the shortcuts to the page up, page down things. You can navigate by text, by searching for something. But for now, as far as we didn't yet learn about this, I just use like pressing J and going down. Okay, lesson 1 summary. So let's quickly walk through this as well. The cursor is moved using either the arrow keys or the H, J, K, L keys. H left, J down, K up, L right. To start Vim from the shell prompt, type Vim file name and then enter. Just did it. To exit Vim, type escape, colon, Q, exclamation mark to threshold changes, or WQ and enter to save the changes. To delete the character, add the cursor type X. To insert or append text, type I. To type inserted text, insert before the cursor A, capital A, type appended text, append after the line, after the end of line. Press and escape will place you in normal mode or will cancel an unwanted and partially completed command. So say you just start in printing some command, like say 2 times k, you want to move like 2 times upwards, yeah, but you type 2, 22 is not where you want to go, so you just press escape, and just press escape, and the command is no longer in the buffer, so just being vanished from that.